Hello, today my group and I are going to talk about the Beijing Opera, but it is also important to know a little bit of its history first. The Beijing Opera started in the late 18th century in 1790, and even though its name is Beijing Opera, it has its origins in the Anhui and Hubei provinces of China, where they share the same Mandarin dialect called Xiajian. This dates back to September 25 in 1790 for Qianlong's Emperor's 80th birthday, where four drama troupes came down from Anhui and Hubei to perform in Beijing. When they first started, they only had two main melodies that were called the Shipi and the Erhuang, but these were from the Han Opera in 1750. It is also important to note that the Beijing Opera was for court only, but later it became available for all the public. And this was marked as the first time that a popular theater was performed in Beijing. And that is why people consider the Beijing Opera to be fully confirmed in 1845. At last, the first four drama troupes that came down to Beijing for Qianlong's emperor were later known as the four great Anhui companies, and they were considered to be the best Beijing opera performers.
So now, Beijing Opera influence. Throughout the history of Beijing Opera, many great fans can be listed. Some of them are even better than the professional actors in aspects such as singing, acting, and appearance. This is the case of Guangxu Emperor of the Qing Dynasty of Yuan Qiwen, son of Yuan Shikai, Shou Zihen, manager of the Dongretang pharmaceutical franchise, of Du Juehen, famous figure of Shanghai, Shang Boyu, bank director, Liu Zhengfu, a renowned scholar, and the famous captain Shang Xuanliang. For example, all of them have devoted themselves to practice of this Chinese theater art. And in 1993, the director of the Taiwan Trade Relation Association, Wang Daoan, and Gu Shengfu, representative of the Taiwan Trade Exchange Foundation, met in Singapore for a political event and ended the session by talking almost and exclusively from Chinese opera and representing some scenes. So now, who are the most representative figures of this genre? In the category of Lan Shen, we have Shang Erkun, Sun Yuxiang, Wang Xiaong, Yan Yupen, or Shi Xiaobo. In the Jin category, Jin Xiushan stand out above all, while in the Dan category, Gong Junpu and the violinist Lin Peiking stand out.
Shen is the male character's leading roles with multiple subtypes. Dan are female characters' major roles also with subtypes. Jin are the supporting male characters with paint faces, face color and designs symbolism they reveal their inner nature. Chao are comic characters entertaining secondary roles with more dialogue than singing. The Dang and Shen roles wear simple makeup. It consists of a layer of white oil-based makeup, followed by a peach red rouge from eyebrows down to eyes and cheek, then water-based black ink used to draw a thick black line under the eyes and eyebrows. Costumes worn by the actors fall into four main categories. The man is a court robe worn only by imperial family members, prime ministers, or generals. Pei as a casual clothing, warriors wear kao as a kind of armor, middle class and ordinary people wear sesi as a casual clothing as well. Each specific costume includes elaborate and colorful shoes and accessories worn as crown, helmets, and hats. The staging. It is not actually cluttered with complicated props. It's actually very simple and minimal, expecting the audience use their imagination to interpret the gestures and simple tools employed by the players to indicate the setting. The instruments, all traditional, fall into two distinct divisions. The Wanchang or civil division, which is mainly there to accompany the singing, and the Wuchan, or military division, whose music is to accompany acting, dancing, and fighting. Each role has a particular singing style, and every performer can play any role as long as they master the singing style of every role. As well as singing, there is recitation, where it's a story told, but it's like a realistic conversation.
But what about this art nowadays? To know about it, we have to first know a little bit about its evolution, which includes a decline phase. By the second half of the 20th century, the public of this art decreased because besides the quality of interpretation went down, the public turned less traditional and more modern in the entertainment area. This last thing I mentioned is shown mostly in young people who started to feel impatient with the slow rhythm of the performances. In a response to maintain this art alive, since 2008, the Chinese Ministry of Education established that this art should be diffused in the whole country, and therefore all schools should learn about the Opera de Beijing. To accomplish this, they did a campaign that first took place in Beijing and Tianjin. What's more, this art started to integrate not only modern elements but also performing new works outside the traditional canon. Few years later, on November 6, 2010, the UNESCO declared the Opera de Beijing as the intangible cultural heritage of humanity, and nowadays it is still known as the most influential drama in all China. With this, between the many activities that are seen in the Chinese New Year, it was expected that the Opera de Beijing would be part of them. For this special celebration, they performed this art in the Huron Pavilion of the Sonanhai residential complex in Beijing, only for the enjoyment of Chinese leaders and renowned people. Besides this festivity inside China's capital, you can delight in this art all year at the Theater Mei Langfang and the Theater Chang's, spaces that are dedicated to these performances, as the CCTV, a Chinese channel that broadcasts national operas 24 hours. More recently, this art has stood out for a model more focused on the director and dramaturge, with innovation and a superior level of producers. As we mentioned before, even though this art predominates in Beijing, it expanded to all of China. Therefore, today, the major performance groups are situated in Tianjin and Shanghai. Inside China, there are many good actors that disclose this art outside the country. Between them, we have Mei Langfang. Yes, the theater I just mentioned before was named after this great master who performed in Japan, United States, England, French, etc. Not only did actors expanded this art, but also amazing film directors like Chen Cage. This talented man did Farewell My Concubine, a feature film that internationalized the Opera de Beijing worldwide and also won multiple predominant awards. On the other side, apart from China, this art has extended to other countries like United States and Japan, and even Uruguay, where on October 2019 it was published that the Confucius Institute of the University of the Republic and the Embassy of the People's Republic in China organized an Opera de Beijing performance, Rebelión contra el Palacio Celestial, in commemoration of the 70th anniversary of the founding of the PR, China, and the 60th anniversary of the parliamentary friendship between China and Uruguay.
Here we have 3 fun facts that we think you should know about Beijing Opera, and the first one is that Beijing Opera does not intend to imitate life. The opera must suggest but not imitate the accuracy of life. Beijing Opera most recurrent element is circularity. They are often trying to avoid straight lines, straightness in general, and all of their movements are circular. Like Western culture, here music is not created by a composer. It is based on a set of traditional and codified tunes, with the singing mainly be following by 2 sets of tunes and expressing moods.